phones. You're not selling anything.
The Fed's not done, and I'm going to tell you why.
Welcome back to Sean's show, everyone. Episode 47. I hope you're having a great week. I had a great week. I was in Austin last week. It was very fun to catch up with Josh Kabaza, my old producer. He's doing well. He's still got his family despite his countless debts to private and to private corporations and the government. No, it was fun. If you didn't check out that episode, go watch it. It's a fun. I have a fun time with Josh. I hope you're having a good week. I'm back in New York. Just doing solo for now. You know, I think I wander to more fun places when I'm just talking to a mic by myself. So that's kind of how I'm going to do it from now on. For now, that is until I find someone who is able to just laugh at my stuff, laugh at my insanity. So let's get comfy. I hope you're having a good drive. I hope you're getting acquitted from domestic violence charges. I hope good things are happening in your life right now, because the world not doing so great. We're gonna have a good show. I have a lot of news planned. A lot of shit's been going on. I think let's just dive right in this week. Wars continue. Money continues to be made off of them. And I think what we're seeing is a lot more anger, a lot more rage around the callousness of corporations to just kind of exist in the face of all this death. And again, I'm pro-death, I'm pro-war, just so you know before I go over the story. But I want to start here. Since I'm in New York, I see a lot more like fashion brands and shit. And so Shein is one of the ones. I don't even know how you say it. Shein. I don't even know. Shein is one of these like kind of like indie kind of fashion brands. And they're based in the UK. And apparently they're going to IPO. So I found this story that I did want to talk about. It's kind of emblematic of what's happening more broadly in our culture, I think. UK human rights group launches campaign to stop Shein's potential London IPO. So this company, very big fashion brand, wants to do a big IPO, make a lot of money in London. And a human rights group says, no thanks. Says, we don't want you to do that. And so here's the scoop. So UK human rights group called Stop Uyghur Genocide has launched a legal campaign to block Shein's potential London listing over concerns about its labor practices. And this is interesting. A human rights law firm, Lay Day, has written to the UK's Financial Conduct Authority to urge the regulator to refuse any attempt by Shein to list on the London Stock Exchange. So the big question I have is, how are the Uyghurs even involved? Let's find out. If they list it, also, let's not pretend that like the London Stock Exchange lists any businesses that are like moral or ethical already. So it's not like, I mean, there's probably countless weapons companies, tobacco companies, whatever flavor of the month evil thing listed already on the London Stock Exchange. So I don't know why this group is being so punitive and mad at Shein. It seems. Let's read further though. So a lot of people are mad about this. Amnesty International UK and said that Shein's potential London IPO would be a badge of shame for the London Stock Exchange. You know what I think is a badge of shame? The UK's colonialism is a, you know what's a badge of shame? The UK in general. This group, this human rights group is saying that if they list Shein on the London Stock Exchange, it's going to be a badge of shame. You know what is a badge of shame? The UK on the EU. It's gone. It's the UK in Europe. It's a fucking disgusting place. I've never been, but I've heard it's disgusting, and I believe people when they say that stuff. I've heard from many people that it's disgusting. And apparently, I guess Shein has like questionable fast fashion is a kind of a fast fashion, manufactures stuff cheaply and kind of pumps it out. And apparently they have questionable labor and human rights standards. As if every other company that makes clothing isn't guilty of the same shit. Every clothing company, all of the clothing in the whole world is made by children. Why are you being so myopic about Shein? Can't you let them make some money? Shein confidentially filed papers with Britain market regulators in June to IPO, and now it's gone public. I mean, this is a very short article. The company has previously said it was investing in strengthening governance and compliance across its supply chain. The FCA has no investigation or enforcement powers relating to alleged breaches of legislation not within its remit, such as the Modern Slavery Act. So I guess the UK Parliament or like the UK government can't enforce the law if Shein is manufacturing in other countries. So I guess there's a lot of activist groups. So I want let's dive a little further. Let me just look up Shein Uyghur Muslims. Let's take a look. Free Uyghurs from forced free Uyghurs. Also, I'm saying by the way, I'm saying that word correctly. I know it's very close to another word. I'm saying the word Uyghurs. I'm saying the word. So just let me get that on the record. So I guess there's, I mean, it's if you don't know the situation with the Uyghur Muslims in China, I guess there was a re-education camp within China, and they've basically sent a bunch of these Uyghur Muslims to these schools where they can learn about China. And I think that like that is not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe they need to get, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Maybe it would be good if they learn about Chinese culture. I think, I don't, is that crazy? Is it crazy to say that when you have a minority population in a country, I think it makes sense to send all those people from that minority population to a camp, an education camp, where they can learn about the culture for 40 or 50 years. You know, I think that's a good thing. It's very important and it's good that China has sent 80,000 Uyghur Muslims to a school, and the school is not a school, it's a factory, but it's a school. It's a school where they learn about Chinese culture. And also, by the way, they make clothing at a very cheap rate and they can't go home. And they get paid in, you know, Shein tokens, which they use to buy rice. I don't know what goes on over there, but it's a good thing. So, no, obviously it's fucking crazy. Obviously China is basically the new, it's a lot of people are comparing it to the concentration camps in the Holocaust. And it's not a bad comparison. If you read about this, reports have revealed that the forced labor of Uyghurs has been expanded beyond the Uyghur region, with at least 80,000 Uyghurs I can't do the word. The word is just so close to the N word. But we're going to keep going. At least 80,000 Uyghurs transferred to factories across China where they cannot leave, are constantly surveilled, and must undergo, quote, ideological training to abandon their religion and culture. Video evidence shows that some of these transfers occurred earlier this year when much of China was under lockdown as a result of the expanding COVID-19 outbreak. So I bet, you know, like, I don't know whose quote this is, but never leave a good crisis unpunished. That's not the quote. Always take advantage of a good crisis. So I think what China likely, and you know, we don't know what's real, what's fake anymore in the news, but I believe China has used COVID to sort of deport these Uyghur Muslims and kind of put them in this situation where they're in these forced labor camps. So it's crazy. So here we go. There's a bunch of Western companies profiting from forced labor of these Uyghur Muslims in China. So let's take a look. The Huafu Fashion Co. Mill, don't know them. I think they made Yeezys. A local government. Let's see. So Foxconn has a facility in Zhengzhou. Which has Uyghur Muslims. Here we go. The problem with Shein. Here's what I wanted to get to. The problem with Shein. Numerous reports have linked fast fashion giant Shein to unethical business practices, including worker exploitation, copyright infringement, and environmental harm. Recently, laboratory tests ordered by Bloomberg found that some of Shein's cotton was sourced from the Uyghur region. It's pretty crazy, but it's not new. It's just not new. I mean, I'm just reading the companies. It's dozens of companies, sportswear brands, Anta Sports. I like this company. They just kind of like own up to it. I like this. I like honesty. Here's a company that goes, check this out. The official sportswear uniform supplier of the International Olympic Committee, Anta Sports, is among many apparel companies around the world that source cotton from the Uyghur region. In March 2021, Anta Sports defiantly declared, "We have always bought and used cotton produced in China, including Xinjiang cotton, and in the future we will continue to do so." I love that. I love that. I love it when that is exactly how every company should address allegations that they are using slave labor to make their products. Finally, guys, we found a company, and it's the Olympic sportwear brand, which is fucking crazy. But finally, we found a company that just owns up to it. And they don't even address, they're like, Apple needs to do that. Like, let me read this again. Let me read how amazing this sentence is. This is the sportswear brand for the Olympics, and they use slave labor from Uyghur Muslims in China to make the Olympic uniforms, and they don't care. Here's what they said. "We have always bought and used cotton produced in China, including Xinjiang cotton, and in the future we will continue to do so." I love it. Apple needs to say the same shit. Whenever someone criticizes Apple of using slave labor to make the iPhones, we need Apple. I need Tim Cook to say this. "We have always made Apple iPhones in China, and we will continue to do so in the future." That's what they need to say. When someone says, "What do you think of all the kids that live in these factories and make iPhones for you and have no economic mobility?" Tim Cook says this. He should just say this. "We have always had." I dropped my laptop. Ugh. I was on a roll, guys. Here we go. I need Tim Cook to say this. I need him to say, "We have always had," he needs to say, "I love the kids that make our iPhones in China, and we will continue to do this process in the future." That's what they need to say, because all of this bullshit about dodging it and lying to the consumer, people know. And if they don't know, they don't know the specifics, but they know that it's fucked up. I know that the shirt I'm wearing right now wasn't made ethically. Like, nothing is made ethically. So who cares? I mean, what are you going to do about it? I want Tim Cook to be like, when people accuse Apple of like slave labor practices, I just want Tim Cook to be like, "What are you going to do about it, bitch?" I would appreciate that sort of honesty. Because what we have now is we just live in a world where they lie to your face despite the truth being the opposite. And it's just sad. I guess here we go. People are boycotting Shein. Chinese fashion retailer Shein faces boycott for alleged Uyghur forced labor. But the list goes on and on. So like, you know, I have a newsflash for Stop Uyghur Genocide. The Shein IPO will happen. The founders will make millions of US dollars, and they will buy mansions, and they will go to brunch, and they will do cocaine. And there's not a whole lot any of us can do to stop it. There's not. What are you going to do? I want to, you know, and, you know, again, I'm not trying to just always side with the oppressor. I'm not siding with Shein. I'm not saying what they're doing is a good thing. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm not the CEO of Shein. Take that up with Shein. But it's more of the same. It's just more of the same. You know, boycotts. I mean, again, I've addressed boycotts previously on other episodes, but like I think when you really think about how to be an ethical consumer, that like a lot of people, they want to be like these ethical consumers that feel good about the stuff that they're buying. But like, you know, I'm sure you've heard this liberal take before, but it's, you know, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Well, if there's really no ethical consumption under capitalism, then why are you boycotting a company? Because there's no point. If they're all bad, it's the same thing with politics. If both candidates are bad, why are you voting? If all the companies are bad, then why are you boycotting certain ones? Are you going to try to like be the you're going to try and like be the most ethical consumer you can? Being the most ethical consumer you can still involves you buying stuff made by kids, forced slave child labor. And so if my best option is to buy, if I want to be a good person and my best option is forced slave child labor, that's like they're all doing that, it feels pretty fucking hopeless and annoying when people boycott businesses and tell me that I'm a bad guy because I didn't boycott that business. I'm not like, we're both bad. We're just both bad. You're not a better person than me because you boycotted Starbucks or Shein. Okay? I don't work at Shein. I don't work at Starbucks. I happen to like Shein's fashion. And sorry, I'm going to keep it real. I like the designs that Shein is pumping out, and maybe it's worth a few Uyghur Muslims being involved in slave labor. I don't know. Is that great? I'm sorry. I like the next time someone like I'm going to start wearing Shein. You guys are going to boycott Shein. I'm going to start wearing some Shein. But it's like you're going to go boycott Shein and you're wearing the clothes that you're wearing are also made by kids. Like, it's like, what? Like, it's, if you really want, you just have to go off the grid. And even then you're hurting the environment because you're living off the grid in the forest. And like, no, it's just like, no matter what, you're going to have people that just fucking hate you. And I think that's something that's hard to accept for a lot of people. It's hard for me it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to accept that like there are just people in the world that are going to hate me for my choices. Just, you know what I mean? That's just a fact. And it's like the boycotts, it just gives people meaning in their life, and you need to find meaning in your life. I'm shouting into a microphone for, 80 to 100 people every week, but that gives my life meaning because I would go crazy. I would snap if I didn't have you guys to shout at. So I like it. If boycotting businesses is your thing, That's great. You can also, you're welcome to hate me because I don't boycott and I don't believe in boycotts. But that's just the way it is. I don't know. There's not much else on this story. It's just more of the same shit. Established in 2012, Shein has evolved into a fast fashion giant targeting Gen Z consumers outside China and is backed by California-based Sequoia Capital. So it's a venture capital-backed clothing brand. Sequoia Capital funded them. That's crazy, actually. It's, you know what? I want to focus on this. Let me just see if there's anything interesting at Shein. How about this? If Shein does a bad job with the clothing, then I'll support Stop Uyghur Genocide. If Shein has some interesting looks and fits, then maybe I have to like go for it. Oh, it's women. It's mostly women's fashion. My bad, guys. That's why I didn't know what it was. It's like women's fashion. Let me look up men's jeans. Let's see if they have any good jeans. Men jeans. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the jeans made by the Uyghur Muslims. Men's creative. I mean, this stuff looks kind of stylish. That one looks kind of gay. It's got flowers on it. Ripped jeans. Men ripped frayed skinny jeans. 800 sold recently. $16.42. Here we go. Manfinity men cotton leather graphic ripped. I love what's happened to product names on the internet. Like it's because it's all about SEO now. So like whenever I go on Amazon and I want to buy a desk, why is the product I understand why it's because of SEO, but it's like it's so annoying to shop on Amazon and look for like a desk, just a simple desk. And you type in work desk and all of the products, every product name is like it's like a book. It's like a chapter of a book to like go through and like, it's such an overload for me. It's like, you know what I mean? Like you go on Amazon, you type in work desk and then the title of the product is like 16-inch work desk, best desk, awesome desk, like sexy desk, cheap brown desk. Like it's almost like I wouldn't be surprised. Like it's just that's where we are. That's where we're at with online shopping. Like I wouldn't be surprised if these product names start going crazier with their titles and like targeting people based on like, you know, like if I'm looking for a desk and it knows my background, maybe it'd be like, you know, work desk for tall person, you know, sexy guy. I don't know, like flattering me and shit. I don't know. But I'm looking at these jeans made by Shein. I don't know. They're $14.95. $14.95 for jeans made by the slave laborers. And it's got a good review. 4.89 stars. Let me see if there's any 1-star reviews on these jeans. I'm curious if people like go on this and like talk about like the labor practices. Let's find out. Too big for a small. They were huge and very, very wide. Gave me the wrong motherfucking pants, but that's okay because I like the ones I got. I want to find. So the people leaving that's the thing. The people leaving 1-star reviews, they don't even leave the 1-star reviews because it's made by slaves. They're just actually mad about the product. Way too tight. Pants stretchy, don't like. Not a word about the Uyghur Muslims that make the clothing. So it's, I don't know. It's we'll move on from this, but it's. I wanted to start with that because it's more of the same. Again, it's the same as people boycotting Starbucks to go to protest Palestine or to protest Israel. So it's I don't know. Maybe I'm a bad guy. Maybe all of the shit I'm saying, maybe I'm a bad guy. I'm just kind of like trying to speak my mind here. I might just be a bad person. Sometimes I wonder, like and that's my issue with it, is like they boycott these businesses, then they shit on me, or if you don't boycott businesses based on ethical grounds, they shit on you. They shit on you because you refuse to boycott certain businesses, and that makes you a bad person. But it's just, it's sometimes it gets to me when they say stuff like that. It gets to me. It's like, damn, like maybe I should be like doing my part. Maybe I should be doing my part to like right the wrongs in the world. Maybe I am going to hell. If I'm going to hell because I didn't boycott Starbucks to protest Israel, then send my ass to hell. Because, and the devil better give me a Java chip frappuccino when I get there. Because I'm not going to stop drinking it. Sorry. I mean, I quit coffee altogether, but when I get to hell, you bet your ass I'm going to fire that shit up again. All right, let's move on. Speaking of Israel, so I don't know. This is an interesting story. So the war continues, which is something I could say every week on the show. The war continues. One of the wars continues. So I think Israel is pressing on in the war in Gaza, and they are looking for a new supply of soldiers to continue fighting Hamas. And a new thing that they're doing is they're drafting ultra-Orthodox Jewish people in Israel. So this is a court order from Israel's high court. They're going to draft ultra-Orthodox men. And I think Netanyahu is getting a lot of pushback for this, because if I understand this correctly, again, a lot of you assume I'm Jewish. If you're just listening, I've got a massive nose and I'm very neurotic, but not Jewish. I'm Irish Catholic. But if I understand correctly, the ultra-Orthodox Jewish men are somehow they don't want to go fight. Like it's against their specific interpretation of the Torah, so that they can't go fight. But let's read this story. Let's take a look. Israel's Supreme Court ruled unanimously that the military must begin drafting ultra-Orthodox men for compulsory service, a landmark decision that could lead to the collapse of Prime Minister Netanyahu's governing coalition as Israel continues to wage war in Gaza. Haven't they won the war already? I mean, they're already genociding the Palestinians in Gaza. Why are they drafting more people? Don't we give them billions of dollars? Like, why? I don't understand why they have to draft more men. Like, I don't understand why Israel has to like dig that deep into the coffers of their population to fight this war. But let me keep reading here. Under long-standing arrangements, ultra-Orthodox men have been exempt from the draft, which is compulsory for most Jewish men and women who serve 3 and 2 years, respectively, as well as reserve duty until around age 40. Interesting. These exemptions have been a long source of anger for the secular public, as the military has called, tens of thousands of soldiers, and says it needs all the manpower it can get. I don't know. I mean, it's the ultra-Orthodox see their full-time religious study as their part in protecting the state. Good excuse. See, they're smart. That's a smart thing to say. And that's really the only way I'd ever end up being like really fucking religious or like very conservative religion of any sect of any religion is to avoid the draft. So, I mean, imagine you're like going up to like a synagogue in Israel, and it's all these very Orthodox Jewish men that are studying, and you're like, hey, like it's time for you to go to Gaza. And the guy's just like, oh, I'm sorry, like fuck, like I'm studying, like I totally would, dude. I mean, basically what they're saying is like Netanyahu comes in and he's like, I need you. I know you guys are like, I know what you guys have done historically. I'm all about the Torah, rock on. But I need some of you guys to go over to Gaza and kill some Palestinian kids. What do you say? And all these guys, all these Orthodox Jewish guys were basically like, damn, like, I basically like, nah. Like, that's kind of what they're like. They're basically like, like they're basically being like Netanyahu, like, I am fighting for you, bro. Maybe not with a gun, but by studying the Torah, I am fighting for the state of Israel, which is obviously fucking bullshit. Many fear that the greater contact with secular society through the military will distance adherents from the strict observance of the faith. So I don't know. It seems like Israel is kind of falling. I mean, like, it seems like not Israel, but it seems like Netanyahu's government is kind of falling apart. I mean, obviously they're winning the war hand over. They're in no danger of losing the war unless Iran gets involved. That it could really escalate. But invalid. So here we go. Invalid selective enforcement, which represents a serious violation of the rule of law and the principle according to which all individuals are equal before the law. So, it's and that's what happens when you have a theocracy. When you have a theocracy, you're gonna get in. When you have a Israel is a theocracy. I would say the United States is probably mostly secular, but kind of a theocracy, a Christian theocracy. But then all of these governments, they're theocratic. They are fundamentally about governing a population based on a retarded interpretation of a religious book. When you have that, whether it be Israel, whether it be Iran with the Quran, whether it be the United States with the Bible, and then you simultaneously lie and you say that your government is sees all people equally under the law, those things are they don't blend. They're at odds with each other. It's impossible. It's impossible to have a society, call it a Jewish state. I think it's impossible to have a Jewish state where you have very like Orthodox people within that religion that believe that it's against their religion to go fight with their secular brothers and sisters. You can't have a government that treats everyone equally and also call it a Jewish state. Just keep it real. Can we just fucking keep it real? I mean, it's very frustrating. And I mean, I think, we're talking about 13% of the population is very Orthodox Jewish, ultra Orthodox Jewish. So it's, and they're trying to draft them. So it's basically a special part of the population of Israel that is not being drafted to the same degree that the rest of the population is. And I don't know, if I was if I was living in Israel and I was just like a normal guy, and I was not in this Orthodox part of Judaism, and I get drafted, I'm going to be pretty fucking pissed that the Orthodox Jews are not also included in the draft. I'm going to be pretty mad. So I get the anger. They're mad. Apparently a representative for them said they understand that they don't have a better political alternative, but at the same time, their public is saying, "Why did we vote for you?" referring to Netanyahu. So they're saying it like they're saying that Netanyahu is basically betraying this part of the population. I don't know. It's you know, I just really don't see why they need all this manpower. Aren't wars just fought with drones nowadays anyway? Aren't wars just fought with drones anyway? Like isn't all of these drones are just being operated from the United States? So why on earth are we even doing this? Why does anyone get drafted? I saw this other news story that I gotta talk about that was crazy. Here in the United, if you're in the US and you're listening to this, it's time to get a little scared. Check this shit out. I mean, this shit's crazy. So give me one moment, pulling it up. There's a bill that the Republicans have passed that reinstitutes the draft. I mean, is this it? House, listen to this shit. House passes bill to automatically register young men for the draft. I mean, this is crazy. Listen to this shit. The House passed a large defense bill Friday evening that included a provision that would automatically enroll young men between the ages of 18 and 26 for selective service. I mean, obviously, it's going to be shut down by the Democrats and Biden. But I mean, listen to this shit. By using available federal databases, the Selective Service Agency will be able to register all of the individuals required and help that any future military draft is fair and equitable. This will allow us to rededicate resources towards reading readiness and towards mobilization rather than towards education. I mean, I don't know a goddamn person that would be willing to fight for America in 2024. I think they're out there. Obviously, I think, you know, there's probably a lot of people on both sides that might rise to the occasion. But like, we haven't drafted anyone. I can't remember the last war we drafted people in. It was before I was born. So to reinstitute this, I just feel like, I mean, you're gonna try and draft Gen Z to go to war. They're gonna be TikTok dancing on the battlefield. They're gonna be flossing on the battlefield. They're gonna be loading AR-15s and being like, I'm like, this is not based. I mean, and that's if they go. No one under the age of 30 right now wants to go fight and die for America. I don't think they're out there. I think that, like, when you have, like, that's just not in, like, the blood. It's just not in our blood anymore. It's really not. It's not in the spirit of young people. They hate this country. A lot of young people. I still happen to love America. I still happen to listen to Kid Rock. And I still happen to listen to Ben Shapiro. Kidding. But, like, I do kind of watch him sometimes. But, like, it's just the overall, like, flavor, the feeling of young people is just, it's not I mean, it's just not a, like, people are not in a place where they want to, if they get mandatory drafted. I just feel like the actual follow through on that would be such an incredibly low percentage. But here they are trying to institute the draft again. And I don't know. And listen to this shit. So the Selective Service System was founded. Here's a little history on the draft that I didn't actually know about. The Selective Service System was founded in 1917 to feed bodies into America's World War I efforts. Again, the language they use, feed bodies. Hey, I will not be one of the bodies that's fed into a war. Thank you very much. If I get drafted, I'm going to Canada and you can suck my fucking dick. And I know a lot of people that feel the exact same way. The House just passed a defense bill where they want to institute a mandatory draft for young men up to ages like 18 to 26. Who knows? And if we end up plunging into World War III and they expand the draft age to include people that are my age, you can suck my fucking dick and you can choke on it and die. Because I'm not going to war. Going to war for any country is cringe. Do you guys have you not woken up? Are you guys not on TikTok? Are you not on TikTok? Have you not heard? Do you not know this? Do you live under a rock? Going to war is cringe. It's chuggy. You got no riz. If you go to war for any country and you bleed out and die on a battlefield for any sovereignty, you're cringe. I am sorry. You're cringe. You're going to bleed for Chevron? Get the fuck out of here. If I get drafted by America and they want me to be a patriot and return the favors that America has done for me, I'm going to tell them to suck my motherfucking dick. And I encourage you to do the same because, you know, I'm like sitting here in Brooklyn. I have one of the best lives that a human being has ever had in the history of humanity. And I'm literally telling the country that gave it to me to suck my dick. And that's what I love about America. I understand it's a very privileged take, but like, it's the truth, guys. If we go into World War III, you're going to have to make me fight by gunpoint. You're going to have to like point a gun at me and tell me that like I need to go fight for America or I'll be murdered, which a lot of countries have done in the past. They've sent soldiers to war under the threat of death. So like that's the only way you're going to get me to do it. Sorry. So it was disbanded in 1920, the draft, and fired back in 1940, reformatted in 1948, and then terminated. So the draft's kind of like bounced around. Jimmy Carter in 1980, alarmed by the Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan, reinstituted the draft registration as a just-in-case rite of passage for boys. And the penalty for avoiding the draft was 5 years imprisonment and $250,000 in fines, which was a shitload of money in 1980. Not anymore. While there have been only 14 convictions for selective service, refuseniks, I don't know what that means, refusers, 100,000. So if you refuse the draft, you're barred from working government jobs, receiving student loans, and obtaining a driver's license. So you just have to move to New York. It's fine. But there's a growing centrist consensus among liberals and hawkish conservatives on expanding the selective service. The ACLU, for example, is fighting. Okay, this is crazy. Let's back up a little bit. The ACLU is fighting for the right of women to be conscripted and argues that the selective service, the mandatory draft, is an example of overt sex discrimination. Hey, if I was a woman, I would be like, hey, ACLU, shut the fuck up. Can you shut the fuck up? I don't want to get drafted. Some sexism is good. So the ACLU is saying it's fucked up that only men are drafted and sent to their death in war. We want women and men. Women should have just as much of a right to be sent to Afghanistan and to die for Chevron and BP, just as a woman deserves that right just as much as any man. If I was a woman, I would be like, hey, can you just shut the fuck up for once? Some sexism's okay. If the sexism advantages me, then I'm okay with it. I'm objectively okay with not, if I was a woman, I'd be objectively okay. I would be glad that I'm not included in something that's bad because of my gender. And the fact that the ACL, of all organizations, the ACLU is like hawkish, is a war hawk, that's crazy. So, I mean, the ACLU, they should be saying that they should be fighting against the mandatory draft in general. So, conscription of any kind contravenes any constitution that professes a guarantee to individual liberties. That was Fred Echeverry wrote that in a book in 1972. Otherwise, what is to prevent conscription from being the 12 months Senator Taft feared? I don't know what this is talking about. But the point is, mandatory draft is unbelievable, and it should be abolished. How about we do this? How about it's only women? How about we get every how about we get every feminist and we send them to Iraq to fight for our rights? They want to fight so bad. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to answer your questions next. I have a question from William. Oh fuck, I said his last name. I'm trying not to dox people. I'll have to, God damn it. I'll have to bleep that. I love you, William. Question from William. If you want to ask a question, again, join the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Sean Show. I give you $5 every time you ask a question. Okay? So it's a good deal. I'm literally paying for you to ask me a question. So join the group. For the love of fucking God, I'm trying to have some fun with you guys. Join the group. Let's connect. Let's make this more interactive. So here's a question from William. A neighbor and I have begun feuding. What are some good petty things I could do to piss him off? Preferably legal. Unaliving him is out of the question for the time being. Well, William, I would say that if you're trying to do it legally, I think a fun petty thing to do to your neighbor that you're mad at, you could fuck his wife. That's legal. It's bad, but it's legal. You could, assuming this neighbor is a man that you're feuding with, I think it depends on what the feud is about, William. If this feud is about, like, I don't know, his dog shits in your yard, or it's something like, you know, like, I don't know. If it's something that's like a minor thing, you have to respond proportionately. You know, like, you can't respond. Basically, what I'm saying is you should respond like Israel is responding to the October 7th attacks. What I'm saying is you should be responding with absolute force and absolute dominance over your neighbor. You need, I assume that your neighbor did something to you to make you mad. And so what you need to do in response to that is to basically call in a drone strike on your neighbor's house. You need to do a targeted drone strike on your neighbor's house. I need you to call in. I need you to call in the Air Force, and I need you to look at your neighbor walking on his sidewalk through a military camera 5,000 feet in the sky, and turn on the thermal vision and send your neighbor to heaven or hell because he's wronged you. That's what I'd recommend. Because, you know, it's impossible to live in harmony anymore, William. It really is. And I'm sorry. I appreciate your question though. That's $5 for William. Thanks for asking the question. Oh, you said killing him's out of the question. So if you can't kill him, no, as far as the actual things you could do, I don't know. You could park in front of his house. It depends. Drop my laptop again. William, it depends on if you want to escalate or if you want to de-escalate. Because if you want to escalate, there's a lot of shit you could do. You could park your car in front of his house to piss him off. Assuming that you're all in homes. I don't know. You could be very poor and living in like a, apartment complex. You could send a bunch of you could put like bees in a box and then like throw a box of bees through his window. That would be pretty vicious. I honestly think the pettiest thing you could do, William, is just go up to him and just like pretend like nothing's wrong. Just go up to him and be like, hey, what's up? Well, if his name's probably Dave or Kyle or some shit like that. Just be like, what's up, Dave? Dude, like, how you been, man? No, it's great. And just like lie about how good your life is going. And, I think because you can't kill him because you'll go to jail. Try to say stuff that like drives him to suicide. Try to be like, you know what I want to do? Like, because if he's really pissing you off, be like, hey man, like, is everything okay? Like, you seem really depressed lately. Like, gaslight him, be like, is everything all right, man? Like start rumors. You can start a rumor about him. You could be like, dude, like your wife was telling me like that you like have been like cutting yourself. Like, is that true? And then he'll deny it, but you're just gonna be like, I'm sorry, man. I was just, your wife told me that like, that could fuck with him. Be like, your wife told me that you've been like self-harming, man. And I just want to let you know, like, I'm always here from you, man. Like, I know we have our like little like grievances with each other, dude, but like, you're my neighbor and like, I'm looking out for like shit like that could really be fun. Or be like, dude, like, I heard that you like abused a dog when you were 14. Is that true? Did you like abuse your childhood dog? Like, I have a dog. Like, can you like not just stay away from my dog? That's what I'm trying to say. Like fun shit like that, William. That could be fun. I'm gonna bleep your last name. Don't worry, your last name's bleeped. So, join the Facebook group. It's fun. I want to get so many questions on this Facebook group that I can't get to them all. That's what I want. You know what I mean? I want to get to a place where like, I hate you guys because you asked so many questions. Oh my God. Another question. Literally right now from Gary. I think William and Gary, I think you guys are the only two people that listen to this like all the way through. Like, I get like 100 downloads an episode, but I'm pretty sure you guys are the only people that listens all the way through. And I love you for that. I really only need 2. Okay. Gary has 2 questions, which, by the way, means $5 per question, Gary. I love you. Thanks for asking 2. Gary asks, for starters, what the fuck is that question posted right before mine? Looking at you, William, that's crazy to go. That's crazy. Go with Plan Z. Put them in the dirt. I agree, Gary. See, now we're starting a dialogue. See, I'm concerned that the community I'm building is just going to turn into a community where we just suggest that other people in the group kill people in real life, and that's not the direction I'm trying to go with the show. Sean's show is not. It's about peace and love. I know every day I talk about death and violence and destruction and slavery. But again, my message is a message of peace. Just like Benjamin Netanyahu, I am a messenger of peace. I'm a man of peace. I'm not a man of violence. So, Gary, you're telling William that you should kill his neighbor? That's Plan Z. Again, Plan Z is, blows brains out. But there's a lot of other stuff you can do before that is, I think, a lot more proportionate. Again, I preach peace and proportionateness and de-escalation. In any situation, remember, you have to take the high road. You can't stoop to their level, right? So if your neighbor's pissing you off, you can't just get back at him by escalating because it's only going to make things worse. So you have to keep your chin up and fuck his wife. That's all you can do. You got to take the high road. Keep your chin up. And if your neighbor's pissing you off, fuck his wife. That's what you should do. Here we go. Gary has 2 questions. My first question is his first question. If Trump and Biden were in a WWE style cage match, who would win and why? This is the kind of question that I want. Gary, I love you. Keep asking this stuff. That's the kind of question I want for the show, because that's the kind of question that is like, it's a TikTok question. Like is squirt piss. I love it. It's a format question. It's easily digestible. It's fun to talk about. It's a prompt. I love a good prompt. So if Trump and Biden were in the WWE in a WWE style cage match, who would win and why? I'm going to go with Biden. I'm actually going to go with Biden. You want to know why? Because I think Biden has a secret rage inside of him. I think that this is an act. Well, first of all, let me tell you why it would be Biden. If Trump and Biden have a cage match, like a WWE style cage match, let me tell you why Biden would win. Number one, the real Joe Biden is dead, and he has a CIA body double in his place that would be in the cage match with Trump. So this CIA body double is definitely going to be trained in martial arts, and I think he could rip Trump's throat out. I think he's a military man. He's probably done a lot of horrific shit overseas. He was probably has killed people. So I think if we're talking about in the real world, yeah, Joe Biden's body double would kill Trump. If we're talking about the situation where it's Trump and you're a retard that thinks Biden is still around, the real Biden's still around, I got to give it to Trump. I mean, you got to give it to Trump. Trump has a lot more weight on Biden. I mean, it's like, I mean, it would be like welterweight and like Joe Biden's like welterweight and like Trump is definitely heavyweight. Have you seen what he eats? I mean, it's like ice cream and McDonald's and Diet Coke. So I mean, I would definitely give it to Trump. I love the WWE. I used to watch the WWE all the time. Again, that's assuming that there's no intervention. I mean, you always got to remember that like the WWE is all about like people popping out from under the stage. So like, I think if like Hornswoggle, remember Hornswoggle, that like the Irish midget guy pops out and gives Joe Biden a steel chair. I think Biden could have a fighting chance. But no, I got to give it to Trump. So we'll see. The debate, by the way, that's very relevant. There's a debate tomorrow. By the time you listen to this, the debate will probably have already happened. But yeah, there's a Trump-Biden debate tomorrow, Thursday, on CNN moderated. So we'll see how that goes because, I mean, that I'm also giving to Trump. I mean, there's really no way that Trump loses this debate tomorrow. I mean, it's gonna be a landslide. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're watching this and I'm totally wrong. But I just think it's gonna be a landslide. Biden and Trump are both aging, but Biden's dementia is just here's I'm gonna tell it like it is. Trump and Biden, I think, both have dementia. They have neurological problems that are only going to get worse with age. Joe Biden's neurological problems are way, 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 way more advanced. You look at the guy on any video and any stage, he spaces out. And again, I think both parties are fucking stupid. I'm not pro-Trump, but Joe, you have to be fair. Let's just be objective. His dementia is way farther along. So in the debate tomorrow, I really think that Biden is going to like flounder. I think he's going to it's just going to be Biden being like, I was there and Trump was building a real estate empire and I was there making sure that little rich kids and little black kids had clothing. Like he's going to say shit like that. He's going to be like, I passed a bill that made fentanyl illegal and allowed me to smell kids' hair and that was very important and I like smelling kids' hair because fentanyl should be. It's gonna be a word salad. It's a Joe Biden word salad and then it's gonna be Trump being like it's gonna be Trump being like the border, it's very weak. Biden's weak on the border. It's so that's what's gonna be. But moving to question 2 from Gary. Given RFK's family history, why is he even attempting to run for a government office spot? We all know how this is going to end. I agree, Gary. With his brains on a Cadillac, that's how it's going to end. It is, but what a cool way to go out. You know what I mean? Isn't it such a cool way to go out? Like you're like, have a beautiful wife. You're in Dallas, Texas, you know, wave into the everyone loves you. And then your fucking brains are on a hot Cadillac. 1 second, bam, and your brains are on a beautiful Cadillac. And your whore wife is picking up parts of your skull. That's so cool. And for RFK, I call him Brainworm. I call him Brainworm FK. Brain FK. Worm FK. You know, it's very brave. And you know, Gary, we got to give it to RFK for actually even trying to run, because he could very well get assassinated. And the thing is, he's not even that likely to win. I mean, he's not even a legitimate candidate. It's going to be Trump, or it's going to be Biden, or it's going to be Kamala Harris. It could very easy. People forget that the election isn't until November. And I just think Joe Biden could be at the end of his rope, and we could be looking at a Kamala Trump face-off. That's very real. Like, it could be a Kamala Trump face-off. We don't know. So we'll see how it plays out. As for me, you know who I'm voting for? Vermin Supreme. If you don't know Vermin Supreme, you should look him up. I'm pretty sure that's his name. It's this guy who runs for president every year. I think he's just like a libertarian activist. Yeah, I just vote for Vermin Supreme every year. He serves as a member of the Libertarian Party's Judicial Committee. He's known for wearing a boot as a hat and carrying a comically large toothbrush, and has said that if elected president, he will pass a law requiring people to brush their teeth. That is a campaign I can get behind. He has campaigned on a platform of zombie apocalypse awareness and time travel research, and promised a free pony for every American. See, this is a guy that that's about real solutions to real issues. So thank you, William and Gary, for your questions. I really appreciate that. Please ask questions. Again, that's $15 down the fucking drain. I just pay these guys. But thank you for your questions. So we'll get back to the news. I hope you're having a good week, guys. And thanks for being fans, because, you know, you have a lot of options for podcasts, and every day I'm shocked that you are retarded enough to listen to this one. Okay. I'm all right. I'm joking, guys. What's next? Julian Assange is free. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is free after over 1,000 days in prison. And all he did was leak Hillary Clinton's tits on the internet. And he got 1,000 days in. No, he, you know, I'm sure if you listen to the show that you're very familiar with WikiLeaks, you're familiar with Julian Assange and that story. You know, Gary, talking about a guy that should have been assassinated. I'm shocked that this guy hasn't been assassinated or suicided. How is it that the Boeing whistleblowers were murdered, but Julian Assange wasn't murdered? It's like Boeing. Well, Boeing is just an extension of our government now. It's barely a corporation. It's a cartel. Let's keep it real. The Boeing whistleblowers being murdered, and they were murdered. Make no mistake that they were murdered. It's people say Boeing murdered them, but Boeing is an extension of the government. So really the whistleblowers were just murdered by someone in the military defense, the military industrial complex. And so for Julian Assange to be still be alive is incredible, given what that guy leaked to the public. And there's a video that I want to show to remind you guys. Again, I love, and we love Julian Assange on Sean's show. I would love to have him as a guest someday. Julian Assange is a hero in my book, because he felt that it was important to release some of the activity that our military was doing, and the horrific. You know, we all know that civilians are killed in war, but he released definitive proof that the U.S. military engages in the murder of civilians for fun. And he was punished for it. As he should, because he went against a gang. Julian Assange, you know, love him or hate him, he went against a gang. And when you go against a gang, you get hit. You get hit. You're going to get hit. You're going to get punished if you go against gang. And that's all I'm going to say. But let me just pull up this video. Maxim, you ready? Yeah. Awesome, dude. Let me just get this video pulled up, guys, to remind you of, if you're just listening, this is going to be drone footage. Let me just give a little bit of context real quick. So WikiLeaks published footage of what it says is a U.S. military attack on Iraqi civilians in Baghdad. And this is in 2010. This was a long time ago. But it's just a little video I want to watch to remind you guys of Julian Assange and his mission. Because a lot of this gets mixed up and it gets forgotten by the press. Because the press just moves on, they move on, they move on. Forget. They want you to forget the like ultimate mission that this guy had initially. So let's get reminded of that. Play the Rickroll, Maxim. I'm just kidding. It's a real video. So let's take a look here.
For more than 2.5 years, the wire service Reuters has been trying to find out what happened to their 2 staff members.
Here we go.
On this street in the suburb of New Baghdad.
So there were 2 Reuters journalists that were murdered. They were in Baghdad, and they were journalists that were killed. And, you know, in war, you're not supposed to kill the journalists. That's kind of a no-no. Unless you're Israel, then it's okay. Could you crank up the volume a little bit, Maxim? It's going to be in the video. Oh, it will? Perfect.
WikiLeaks says this is what happened.
Yep, he's got a weapon too. Hotel 26, Crazy Horse 18, have 5 to 6 individuals with AK-47s. We got RPG. All right, we got a guy with
the voice on the tape.
He had a camera. The guy, they go, he's got an RPG, 6 guys with AK-47s. It's a guy with a camera. And the fact that they can't see that it's a guy with a camera means that we need to raise the defense budget because the camera equipment clearly isn't doing a good job. If we had just given more money to the military, then maybe this wouldn't have happened. That's my take. If we had given more money to the military, maybe these journalists would still be alive.
Presumably a member of the military says there has been shooting in the area and receives permission to open fire.
When people are labeled as insurgents, are they really insurgents? It seems to be the case that from the scenes in this video, that any person that is not a man and sometimes not a woman is by default labeled as an insurgent.
Light them all up.
202 traffic 26.
Light them all up. How crazy is that? Light them all up. So here it's labeled. It says, Saeed talking on the phone. Namir about to shoulder a camera. To shoulder his camera.
Come on, fire.
So they just fire on, I don't know, probably like a dozen men that are just like walking around. And sure, are 6 of them, maybe 1 or 2, who knows? Any number of them might be terrorists, but this is not how you conduct war if you're the good guys.
Hey, Roger. Keep shooting.
And these sick fucks, they go, keep shooting, keep shooting.
God damn it, Kyle. All right. I hit him by head.
They're laughing. Let me just play this back a little bit. They're laughing.
God damn it, Kyle. All right. I hit him by head.
They're joking around. God damn it, Kyle. These fucking assholes from Louisiana and fucking Mississippi laughing as they murder civilians in Baghdad. And Julian Assange wanted to show the world this footage. Look, I mean, it's really hard to watch. Am I going to boycott anything because of this footage? No. I like hamburgers and Java chip frappuccinos, but I can still get mad about it.
Oh yeah, look at those dead bastards.
Look at those dead bastards. Crazy. It's crazy. Nice.
From a distance, you hear the voices on the tape watch as the wounded try to crawl to help. But when help arrives...
Come on, let us shoot.
You're engaged.
1-8, engaged. Clear. Come on.
So crazy.
Clear. Oh yeah, look at that, right through the windshield.
In this video,
So
I think
sick.
you see the corruption of pilots and the military by war itself, in particular by the modern nature of aerial warfare. So you see these young pilots acting like they're playing video games, only the high scores they are getting are with real human lives.
We call frequency. Yeah, just drove over a body. Yeah.
Ugh.
Even from high above, the harsh reality becomes evident as the troops that arrive find 2 children wounded. You see them carry their small bodies and call for help.
Hey, I need to get the brass to drop ramps. I got a wounded girl. We need to take the rough to Maya.
The response on the tape...
Oh, it's their fault for bringing their kids to a battle. That's right.
I mean, it's just the justification. It's everything we always talk about on the show. I mean, it's like, I really wish war was able to be stopped. And it's sad that it gets to this point, but like, it's inevitable. But what's disgusting is like how these guys justify it. Like, he goes, I need to get the brads. I got a wounded girl we have to take to Rustamaya. So they shot a little girl, right? From a drone. These pussy cowards, these pussies, shot a little girl from a fucking Black Hawk helicopter or a drone or what. And the guys on the ground see that they shot a little girl in all the fire. And now, this is in 2010.
The response on the tape...
And then they go, well, that's their fault for bringing their kids into a battle. And then the other guy goes, that's right. So I wanted to play that video before we talk about this story. All right, thanks, Maxim. We're good. So I wanted to play that video before we talk about the Julian Assange story. You know, is he a perfect guy? No, he's not. No one's perfect. But like, it's a lot of he gets a lot of hate. You know, Julian Assange. He was originally in Australia. So I believe basically right now, here's the criticism that he gets. Julian Assange is no journalist. No responsible actor, journalist, or otherwise would purposely publish the names of individuals he or she knew to be confidential human sources in war zones, exposing them to the gravest dangers. Hey, John, you know who else was exposed to the gravest dangers? That little girl that those soldiers shot from a fucking helicopter. And I don't want to sound preachy. I don't want to sound preachy like I'm doing it. Like, again, let me back up. I don't want to sound preachy like I'm doing anything about this. Like, I'm not an activist. I'm not like doing anything to help stop war. I'm not involved in human rights activist groups. I'm not. So I'm a little bit of an armchair expert right now, but the guy shouldn't have gone to fucking jail. It's crazy. Here's what he was accused of. The Trump administration Justice Department accused Assange of directing former Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning in one of the largest compromises of classified information in U.S. history. So they published all these documents, and I think he was in British custody for a while. Maybe he was wearing Shein. We don't know. Maybe he was involved with the Shein IPO. So what's funny is Trump charged him with the Trump Justice Department charged him with crimes, but then Trump himself in a debate said, I love WikiLeaks. He goes, WikiLeaks, I love WikiLeaks. So it's like, you know, it's just more proof that like politicians don't, that that these politicians don't believe anything. They love and they hate things whether based on whether or not it's politically advantageous for them to do so. That's why Trump let his Justice Department prosecute Julian Assange, but he himself loves WikiLeaks. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But he's free. So this is a big, we have to talk about this. This is a big story. I mean, let's see what the deal requires. Assange's guilty plea involved a felony charge under the Espionage Act of conspiring to unlawfully obtain and disseminate classified information. Let's see. Assange signaled a begrudging contentment with the resolution. Here we go. The judge sentenced him to the 5 years he'd already spent behind bars in the UK fighting extradition, and avoids a lengthy prison sentence in the event of a conviction. So it sounds like he is going to be okay, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I wish I had his bravery. I really wish I did. The guy is nuts. The guy's nuts. He's a madman. And, it's good to see him. It's good to see him free. I think so. Okay, guys. YouTube. Let's close with this. YouTube dominates streaming, forcing other media companies to decide whether it's friend or foe. So if you're following the streaming wars, it's gone to the point where like all these streaming companies are raising their prices so much that like it almost makes sense to just have it makes sense to do cable. I mean, it's and this is the classic bundling and unbundling that I've talked about on the show before, where it's like streaming services were pitched as an innovation, but it wasn't an innovation. It was simply an unbundling. Instead of paying one price for everything, you pay a small price for some stuff. But then over time, as the choices got more limited, these streaming services felt like it made more sense to charge more. And so, now we're going to go back to a bundling. Pretty soon we're going to see, we're already seeing it with Spotify and Hulu. We're already seeing it where streaming services are doing joint deals where they're like, hey, remember when we said we wanted to unbundle this 5 years ago? Well, what about this? What if we could give you Apple TV and Paramount Plus together as a bundle for one low price? It's bullshit. It's always been that's my point. It's always been bullshit. But but the new development is that YouTube is starting to eat the streaming services lunch, which I think is very interesting. So if you'll read this, YouTube made nearly 10% of all viewership on connected and traditional TVs. And Netflix ranked second, claiming 7.6%. And a lot of these media companies, Netflix, Disney, Warner Bros., they don't have a really good strategy to deal with the threat. I don't know. I like YouTube. I like that it's snuck up on these other platforms. I like that it's free. And I like that, like, you can kind of just put out whatever you want, and it's not like, a big fucking deal. And it's DIY. It's cool. It's underground. But like, these streaming companies are getting nervous. So here's Disney. Here's a quote. At the end of the day, Disney is a storytelling machine. We used short form video on YouTube as a promotional device for our content, but I don't think that we at Disney, nor have any other traditional media companies, leaned into YouTube as an original storytelling device the way they probably should have. So I don't know. I mean, it's it's really interesting to see, like, I mean, have you noticed that, like, even on YouTube, like, you can play games now? Like, there are, like, just, like, games that you can play on, like Subway Surfer. Like, I'll go on YouTube right now. I'm pretty sure that, like, YouTube allows you to play Subway Surfer, and same with Netflix. They're, like, experimenting. Like, I can't see it right now because they're, like, beta testing it, I guess. But, like, definitely on YouTube, I've pulled up YouTube, and it's allowed me to, like, play games to, like, hold my attention. And it's just so fucking gross that we've gotten to this point where, like, it's just the dumbest, shittiest fucking content out there. My show included, by the way. My show included. Don't get me wrong. I'm humble. It's interesting. It's interesting to see where it's gonna go, because, you know, I think Netflix, I mean, it's just these shows, it's just like they're kind of falling, these streaming services are just not that attractive for the price point. I don't know about you guys, but I'm good with just YouTube. I really don't need, there's so much content on YouTube. I'm just like, I don't really need anything else. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Sorry, guys. And then there's AI. How does AI come into the mix? There's also the future threat of artificial intelligence on YouTube. So there's no rules. While Hollywood has to stick to, they're being regulated with the way they can use AI. There's no current rules for user-generated content. Theoretically, this gives YouTube creators a huge leg up in experimenting with the technology that could rival the production values of professional studios, putting even more pressure on traditional media. I mean, one thing's for sure, and it's that I hope that Hollywood fails. They don't deserve to live anymore, because all they do is they pump out bullshit. Bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. Rerun, sequel, prequel, spin-off. Just stop it. Can we just stop? Let's just calm down. I want to leave you with this message. Just calm down. Just relax. You're doing fine. You're doing fine. You're listening to Sean's show. A very fun, good show. And you're doing fine. Okay? It's going to be okay. Julian Assange is free. Shein is IPOing. The Uyghurs are working hard. They're making clothes for you. Everything's going to be okay. You don't need to worry. Just be happy. You know, it's fine. Everything is okay. Trump and Biden are going to debate. Or they've just debated by the time you're listening to this. And you get to digest that. And that'll be fun. Just go enjoy all the takes on Trump and Biden debating. Just let your mind kind of melt and go numb for a little while. Enjoy yourself, you know, like the sun is going to explode. People often forget that the sun is going to explode and none of this matters. So just have fun. That's what I do. I don't worry about shit most of the time. Sometimes I do. I worry about my ad revenue on my show, and I worry if you don't review the show on Spotify. That worries me a great deal. But other than that, I don't really have any worries. Sometimes my right testicle hurts, and I'm scared that I have testicular cancer. But other than that, and reviewing the show on Spotify, I'm fine. I'm happy. And there's really no reason to not find your inner peace these days. The world is a safe place, unless you're in Gaza. But yeah, so just calm down. Just calm the fuck down. I want you to go on Spotify. I want you to review the show. Please, it helps build our SEO profile. I want you to like the show on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, leave me a comment, say hi. Most importantly, join the show Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Sean Show. I love you guys. I'm going to keep grinding this shit out. And if you're still listening, then you're a fucking god. I really appreciate you. Tell your friends about the show. You know, I want to get a little community going here and have some fun with you guys. And lastly, I'm on the road coming up. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm headlining. So come out to that show, seanreillycomedy.com for tickets, August 4th, Raleigh, North Carolina. Have a great week, guys. Free Julian. And he's free. So that's it. Bye guys. Peace.